peppermint bark, in particular Williams-Sonoma peppermint bark. How many of you have bought this famous bark, so delicious, made out of good quality white and dark chocolate with their own specially made peppermint candy topping? It's expensive. It's over $20-some a pound. Well, guess what? I have cloned it. And those of you who have watched this show before know that I've cloned this quite a few times, and I continue to tweak it. But you know what? This is the best recipe I've come up with, and it's really easy. And you're not going to be able to tell the difference between mine and Williams-Sonoma, I have a feeling. So how we're going to start? We're going to start off with some chocolate, of course. And you're going to start off with 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate. And use a good quality chocolate. Don't use something that says chocolate flavored. I believe Williams-Sonoma uses Guittard, a special blend. So you need good chocolate, and I'm using semi-sweet today. And what you're going to start with is a pan of water. We're going to start with like a homemade double boiler here. And if you can see, I've got about 1 inch of steaming water in this saucepan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bowl on top of it and make myself a double boiler. Now, if you have a double boiler at home, that's fine too. But you don't want the bottom of the bowl touching any of the water. And this steaming water, when I pour the chocolate in, and we're going to start with about 1 1/4 cups. And we're going to hold 3/4 of a cup out. We're going to start with 1 3/4 cup. And what happens when you melt it this way, it's really a very gentle melting. And let's see if I can get the stove working. There we go. And basically, you don't want that water boiling and rolling over, because if any wetness gets in the chocolate, it will seize. But what I'm going to do now is just stir this and let this melt until mostly all the chocolate's melted, and that's only going to take a minute or two. And then I'm going to take it off of the stove, wipe the bottom of the bowl dry, and then I'm going to add the rest of the chocolate, about 3/4 of a cup. And what this does is actually temper the chocolate. And tempering chocolate does 2 things. It allows it to keep that beautiful, shiny, crisp, crackling texture, and it helps bond the second layer of white chocolate, which we'll talk about later together. So it's just a gentler way of melting the chocolate. I don't know why I always seem to forget this, but for that first batch of chocolate, when you put the 1 1/4 cups of chocolate chips in the bowl to melt, you need a teaspoon of peppermint extract. I forgot that. As you can see, this is just about melted. There's a few lumps here, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that bowl out of that simmering water and wipe off the bottom. And then I'm just going to slowly stir the remaining 3/4 a cup. Remember, we have 2 cups of chocolate chips in here. And what this does is by putting this cold chocolate or room temperature chocolate into the melted, you're tempering it. And as I said, that gives you a beautiful sheen. It keeps the integrity of the chocolate, and it's just really, really nice. So you won't have any shattering between the layers of the bark. What I've got here is just a small tray, like about a 10 by 12 or so, lined with foil. You could use a 9 by 13 pan. Just line it with foil, and no need to spray it. Oh, this looks good already. And again, I'm using semi-sweet. You could certainly use bittersweet or maybe a combination of the 2. I don't know that I would use milk chocolate, because if you're trying to be a clone of Williams-Sonoma, I don't think there's milk chocolate in there, although theirs is a blend of Guittard chocolates, which is a high quality chocolate. Okay, this is for the little ones or for you to lick later. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread, make a thin layer. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. This is going to be your base, your very first layer. And what I'm going to do is let this sit while I'm melting the white chocolate. And we're going to let it sit at room temperature about 10 or 15 minutes. Your goal is to get it till it's almost set, not hard. And you'll see a pan that I've already got ready. your finger's going to be able to make a little bit of an indentation. And the reason I want to let this set at room temperature, it's a more gentle way of firming up the chocolate, and it seems like it allows that second layer to adhere better. So about 10 or 15 minutes. Here's what it looks like. And as I said, you could put your finger in a very slight indentation. It's not firmly hard, but it's a great base for the white chocolate. So what we're going to do now is melt the white chocolate. And I'm going to get another bowl. Remember, place it over a pan of simmering water. And someone asked me the other day, could you do this in a nonstick pan on top of the stove? I think you could, but the reason we're doing the the double boiler method rather, is it's a much more gentle way of melting chocolate. It's not so quick, and I think it really helps keep the integrity. So for the second layer, we're going to use, instead of 2 cups of chocolate, and by the way, it's a good quality white chocolate, and when you read labels, make sure the white chocolate is good quality for this clone. And on the back, the first 2 items should be sugar and then cocoa butter. Sugar and cocoa butter. Then you know you've got a good quality chocolate. You can use bars or morsels, whatever. But for this, we're going to start off with about actually 2 3/4 cup. So we're going to put about 2 1/4 cup in the bowl and keep the other half out. And we're going to use that to temper the white chocolate. So again, we're doing the same thing, letting it melt very gently. And white chocolate is very fragile, and you're going to see it's going to melt a little quicker than the dark, so be careful. I'm going to pull this off when I still see a few lumps remaining. And just make sure that water in the pan is not boiling and rolling over. So stay tuned, this will just take about a minute or so. Well, it's been a minute or 2, and as you can see, the white chocolate has melted really nicely. Still a few lumps remaining, which is what I want. And now I'm going to add the rest of the white chocolate. Remember, we started out with 2 1/4 cups, and now we're adding a 1/2 cup for a total of 2 3/4 cup. So we're going to stir those in and allowing that to temper, and then a 1/2 teaspoon in the white chocolate part. And you can do this while it's melting on the stove easily or now. And again, we're going to just stir this until all the white chocolate's melted and tempered, and we're going to pour it on that dark chocolate layer that has been firming up for about 10-15 minutes or so. And it may take a little longer or less depending upon your kitchen. And again, if it's not melting all the way, you can put this back on the stove on top of that pan and just keep it over that gently simmering water. And remember, there's residual heat in the bowl. You could use a stainless steel bowl, a glass bowl. Just make sure whatever bowl you use over this pan is heat proof. Okay, I think we got it. And I'm going to wipe off the bottom of the bowl so no moisture creeps up into it. Here is what I made earlier. And if you notice, as I said, it has the 2 cups of chocolate chips and 1 teaspoon of peppermint extract. And this white chocolate layer has it has 3 cups of white chocolate chips and a 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this cool just a tad, and we're going to pour it over this, and we're going to see a nice layer, 2-layer Williams-Sonoma type clone. So what we're going to do, set this aside, put this over here, take an offset spatula, and just gently smooth this on top. Doesn't that look good already? So delicious. And a lot less expensive than the Williams-Sonoma chocolate. And again, by bottom layer set up at room temperature instead of the fridge or freezer, I think it helps bond the white. Because the trouble that people have had over the years when I've made this is the shattering when they break it apart or cut it apart. Now some shattering is, you know, may be there, but with this method it's minimal if at all. There we go, so there we are. And then what I'm going to do while the white chocolate is still warm, taste it. Oh good, it's got a lot of nice peppermint flavor as well. We're going to take 1/4 cup of peppermint, high quality peppermint candy, can be canes or mints. Make sure it's not artificially flavored if you want it to be like Williams-Sonoma, because what they do, as I said, is they have their peppermint naturally flavored, specially made for them. And so we've got about 1/4 cup. Let the kids help with this. And you know, this peppermint candy lasts forever, so if you find it on sale, go ahead and get some. And you can crush it as fine or as coarse as you like. And as much peppermint as you like. Again, this is 2 cups of chocolate, dark chocolate chips or the semi-sweet, 3 cups of white chocolate, peppermint extract, 1 teaspoon into the dark chocolate, 1/2 teaspoon into the white, and about 1/4 cup of peppermint chips. Now if you want, you can take, well, I don't have a clean one, here we go, an offset or a spatula or just your hands and gently just smush those in, but I think it looks fine like that. So that's going to take another 20 minutes or so to set up, maybe 30, until it's completely hard. Now, I will tell you, you're going to see me break some of this into pieces, but say you want to cut it into triangles. Then you have to cut it before it gets really hard. But it has to be hard enough so that when you cut it on a cutting board with a knife, the layers aren't going to bleed together. But Williams-Sonoma, they just break theirs into pieces. So stay tuned, and I'm going to bring out the finished product. Well, my peppermint bark is done. And what I'm doing now is I'm just breaking it apart. Look at this, it looks delicious. Again, if you want to make cut pieces like triangles, then you want to cut it before it's completely rock hard. But I got to show you something. This is so fun. Can you tell which is the Williams-Sonoma piece and which is the Rita Heikenfeld piece? This is the Williams-Sonoma, this is mine. And I think the only difference that you can tell here is the Williams-Sonoma pieces of candy are a bit larger than mine. But if you look at the sides, really delicious. So there you go, Williams-Sonoma peppermint bark that you can make at home in minutes.